This show is sponsored by the official Recall Committee California Patriot Coalition. Recall Governor Newsom 2020. Number 1424018. Committee major funding from others include Rescue California, Recall Gavin Newsom, Prov 39 LLC, DGB Ranch. This is your 5-star spot for a smorgasbord of information from RecallGavin2020.com. In a tasty, non-caloric, gluten-free bite. It's Friday night at the French Laundry with Chef Orrin Heatley, Maitre d' Mike Netter, and head cashier Randy Economy.
All the leaves are brown.
Well, good evening, California. Welcome to the virtual kitchen where the cuisine is always California politics. The main entree is the recall of Gavin Newsom, which is cooking quite hot tonight. I'm accompanied by Orrin Heatley. Apparently our cashier is missing, but we also, don't worry, we've got backup. Orrin, I've got a few little complaints about your cooking, so I brought in some backup, and I know you've been delivering meals to go as petitions up and down the state, so we brought you in some help. Tonight we're delighted to have in studio Roxanne Hodge. Roxanne has an amazing history, an amazing past, but more importantly, she's a true patriot who's helping us out. Get in a few words while you can, Roxanne.
Well, Roxanne Hogue is happy to be here. I love that Mike is a great restaurateur, but can't get his guest name right. It's okay. Just don't call me late for dinner at the French Laundry. My name's Roxanne. I answer to that, and that's fine. I'm a mom here in the San Fernando Valley of Los Angeles, and boy, are we steamed.
Good line. Orrin, what do you have to say tonight? I know you've been delivering kind of meals to go, which you might say has really delivering petitions up and down the state. We're going to have some numbers here in a second, but
I have been on the road all day, and the meals on wheels, so to speak, is we're traveling up and down the state, and my job today is to serve it up hot, and I'm bringing signed petitions down to Southern California. I have literally 100,000 with them in my truck as we speak, and they're being delivered out to the field where they can be submitted to the registrar's office. And we're going to go over those numbers in just a little while. And I see that Randy has joined us.
Well, it's time the cashier shut up. Who the heck is going to check everybody out? Randy, how you doing tonight?
You know, I was out buying Costco chicken and birthday cakes because it's your birthday, Mike.
Well, it was my birthday, Randy, but
Happy
thanks for
birthday,
bringing
Mike.
that up.
Happy
that I'm another year
birthday.
older. Well, thank you very much,
And
everybody.
it's my birthday tomorrow.
That's right. It is Randy's birthday tomorrow, and he'll be celebrating with his own show on KABC. You know, it's interesting, everybody, what a fantastic or interesting week it's been. And we're going to talk a little bit here in a few minutes in one of the next segment on Gavin's health. And you might wonder why we're concerned about Gavin's health. Anybody here wonder? Let me tell you why. Because Gavin apparently is getting really good coverage from Blue Shield and United Health, the way he awards contracts. So for all of you out there that are continuously looking for more reasons where you want to recall Gavin, he, as usual, has given us great material every week. And we're going to be serving that up in just a second here. Looks like we may have a backup cashier on the line. Robin, are you with us yet? Nope, she's not. Okay.
Line 2.
That's what I thought was line 2. I'm going to go to line 2 right now. Okay, still working on line 2 here. We're going to have a backup cashier come in this evening to help you out, Randy, and that's going to be our main cashier behind the scenes, keeping accounting of our signature count. Everybody wants to know out there what our count is, and Robin is an amazing person who's one of the people that's behind the scenes in the campaign and out front a lot of the time. Robin, how you doing tonight?
I'm great, Mike. How are you guys?
Well, I'm stuck in the studio with Orrin, but outside of that, I'm doing okay. I've got Roxanne here backing me up, and we've got Dan taking pictures. Robin, everybody here wants to know what our current numbers are as in our drive to recall Gavin. And before we get there, I would like you to explain, before we serve that up, exactly how the system works, because people see a difference in the Secretary of State report, which apparently a lot of reporters throughout the country are observing tonight.
They are. And what's happening right now, the Secretary of State numbers, they're sort of sitting there simmering. and they're waiting for the rest of the numbers to catch up. But I can tell you that I have receipts from all our amazing authorized personnel throughout the state showing me that they have turned in 1,272,667 signatures. And in addition to that, they are in the process of getting ready to deliver an additional 267,270. So they are cooking, and pretty soon that Secretary of State's numbers will have to sizzle and catch up.
Does that mean we'll be having a goose for dinner soon, which might be Gavin's?
I think so.
Well, that's
Stuffed
exciting
goose.
to hear. Orrin, tell us a little bit about how you deliver those meals to go. I think people want to know not necessarily where all the time. That's a secret. But the system, when Robin announces a number, explain how that works a little bit for everybody.
So all of the petitions that are gathered in the field, they come in through several sources. We have people gathering signatures out at storefronts, volunteers walking the streets, knocking on doors, and then we have people that go to our website at recallgavin2020.com. They download those forms and print them up at home, fill them out, and mail them in. And they mail those in to the address that's listed on the bottom of the form. So once we get those petitions in hand, we take those and deliver them to a third-party vendor who goes over each of the petitions. This is just like doing a banking transaction where you count your change, you count all of the signatures that you have, all of the forms that those signatures are on, and then they look at those forms to make sure that they're valid and all of the information's filled out properly. And we have an accounting of what we're turning in to the Secretary of State. So there's no question as to what we've gathered and how that gets to the Secretary of State. There's a chain of custody that we monitor. They stay in our possession until we hand them over to the registrars in each county.
So, Robin, let's go over those numbers again very slowly. I'm not doing that because I didn't hear them, but I want everybody out there to absorb it. Roxanne, how long ago was I on television with you in One American News?
It was sometime in the summer, I think. I know that was hotter than Hades, so it was pretty warm. I will say that it's so important that you guys accept mailed-in petitions because I send all my friends to www.recallgavin2020.com, and I just want to add to Robin's numbers. Here's two. It's from my house.
She just
I'm bringing them in.
handed it to
Oh,
me,
we got
and
two more here.
I'm looking it over right now, and it looks like it's got all of the information filled out properly. It's got the good addresses, and the bottom is filled out as it should be. And folks, if you do print this up at home, you can mail it in. The address is listed on the bottom of the form on every petition form, so we tried to make it as easy as we possibly could.
So gather back in the summer, when you saw me in the studio last, we had barely 400,000 signatures at the time.
It was the
Maybe
little engine that could. It was
Right.
It was looking a little, it was rough.
So
People like the underdog.
Right. We were the underdog. And I want to stress again, this the power of the people. Robin, I'm going to ask you again to repeat those numbers. You know why? Because it's like a good meal simmering in front of me. I just want to enjoy the aroma. Robin, give it to us again. I want everybody out there, tune in, listen from up and down the coast. Let us have those numbers again, Robin.
Okay. Based on the receipts that our people throughout the state have turned into me to prove they have delivered petitions to the county offices, that total is 1,272,667. Now, in addition to that, that's delivered, but we have another 267,278 that have been verified. They are in transit, so they are being now delivered to those county authorized people, and they will be turning those into the counties as well within the next week or so.
Randy? Let me ask you a question. Is that the biggest checkout you've ever seen at our virtual restaurant?
You know what? I think that, it's a very expensive tab, but we're very economical because of the fact that our campaign is completely driven by people and volunteers and leaders and people who have dedicated so much of their time and effort to be able to get us here. And I think that's the magic of this meal and the magic of what it is that we're doing. Because, again, this is about people and lots of people and hundreds of thousands of people and now millions of people. And what a blessing.
Robin, is there a total amount that we have?
Well, if you want to know the real
I wanna know
dish
the-
here,
the
Don't,
big
we won't tell
one.
anybody,
The main-
Robin.
the
We
main
promise.
dish.
It's not like you're on the air
the
or
main
anything.
dish, the main dish is
breaking
as
news.
of today.
Breaking news. This just in.
Breaking. We have 1,718,000 signatures that have been entered on our count sheets that we know are heading toward further verification that will join that additional 1,550,900 I just told you about.
Amazing.
Randy, what is our validation rate?
Our validation rate is – go on, Robin. I'm sorry.
It's our validation.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, according to the averages that I've just entered, we're at 84% right now, 84.59. So you might as well call it 85% validation.
So we're going to get to there. We're going to roll the break in a second. And Randy, I like the way you said the magic because Roxanne, you did make appearance in Bewitched before, right? If I remember correctly.
For a moment.
That's
Blink,
okay.
blink and you miss me.
This is a moment in political time. This is very much magic. Everybody out there, it's Recall Friday nights at the French Laundry. We're on KABC. Tune in to us. Up and down the coast, everywhere you go. Next segment, we're going to have Roxanne, Oren, Randy, and I talk a little bit about some of Gavin Newsom's troubles coming to
If you
play
want
here.
to call into the station,
You can call into
in.
the station at 1-800-222-5222.
You've only had an appetizer. This is your Friday night at the French Laundry with Chef Oren Heatley, maitre d' Mike Netter, and head cashier Randy Economy.
Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication.
We're still cooking it Friday nights at the French Laundry. We've got 3 or 4 callers on the line. Before we go there, Roxanne, I know you ran for state assembly a little while back, right?
I did in 2018. I'm just a mom in a minivan, but I think it's important for everyone to participate in the political process. I'm an immigrant from a country where I was a British subject, and so it was nice to be a participant.
So you've seen a lot of what can happen and when America goes right. But you're living up in the Los Angeles area, I believe, and you could see a lot what happens when the administration does stuff wrong, correct?
Well, I think LA County is really bearing the brunt of the complete arbitrariness of what's coming out of Gavin Newsom's fabulously coiffed hair. It's when I saw the tier system, and it was color-coded for, simple people like me. I'm an actor, and maybe brains aren't my thing. Oh, good, colors, I can read those. Wait a second, there's no green for go. No green for go. And in LA County, the largest county by far in California, our teenagers are still being held hostage by that system. So it's not even a political thing. Parents would like their kids to not be suffering, and they're being held back against their wills and being held hostage in private school, parochial school, public school, doesn't matter. If you're over the age of 12, you have no chance of attending school anytime soon, thanks to Gavin's colored system.
but yet we have 2 assembly women, a Democrat and a Republican, who are filing legislation to open up our theme parks. Where are their priorities?
I don't know, because I love theme parks. I love a day with a theme park, but I'm watching my friends' kids and kids I know very well, maybe even in my own house. But their Zoom school is not real school. And if you care at all about inequality, you can't see because this is radio, but I am not a Caucasian person. And if there's a hint of humidity outside, my hair is just going to go right back to its natural state. That it is, if you care about inequity, having kids who can't get their Wi-Fi to allow them to be on camera. It is heartbreaking to watch someone trying to learn chemistry or honors algebra. You're like, what did he say? I don't know what he said. I don't know what he said, honey. I can't help it.
How much ground has been lost for the parents who have special needs children?
Immensely. I have a friend who's a special needs kids attorney. She's amazing. And kids with IEPs are losing ground. And kids who have a natural love of learning, I was a nerd. Okay, I'm still a nerd. People who like to interact with other people and who love to connect with teachers and have adults sort of see the light go off in their eyes when they say something, and then they can say, you know what, you should read this book. Go get it out of the library right now, because I bet you're going to love that.
So you know what it tells me when you have the sheriffs of very highly populated counties, and then you have two bipartisan assembly people writing legislation to override this governor's decisions to shut down the state. That tells me that there's a general distrust or a lack of confidence in this governor's ability to lead. And I think that you're seeing it out in public. 1.7 million people have weighed in. They've lost confidence in this governor's ability to lead, and they want to take their state back. And that's what we're doing.
You know, I think it's interesting because you hear about some people from sides saying about the recall process, how it costs too much money, how we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that. But I haven't heard actually, and folks, and Randy too, you're the political pirate here, so correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't actually heard anybody say why we shouldn't recall Gavin Newsom.
I haven't heard Gavin Newsom say why we shouldn't recall Gavin Newsom.
That's a good point. That's a good
We'll
point.
get to probably why we're not hearing from Gavin in a second, but seriously, let's give Randy a second here as we almost get close to checking out of this segment. We do have a lot of minutes left, but just want to throw that in because Randy's the cashier. Randy, tell us, have you heard anybody actually say why we, outside of the process, outside of maybe democracy costs too much money, why we actually, one reason why we shouldn't recall Gavin himself? Have I missed something in the press?
Well, you know, there's going to be naysayers, and there's going to be people who are going to take pot shots at the campaign, and that's just part of the deal that we've been able to endure, and we have developed a very thick skin. I find it just comical and hilarious that the official spokesperson for the state of California in the governor's office is now having to actually spend every day coming up for comments against our campaign. And so to me, that is very telling. And the same, they're taking swipes at us and pot shots, and we're okay with that. But the great thing is, and we've said this before, this is about the people. And the naysayers are going to come, and they're going to come out in droves. And the more the naysayers come out and the critics, the more we're onto something.
But that's what's interesting. Go ahead, Roxanne.
I'll answer that question because, as you know, I'm an actor in my other life. And I think the one argument, his only argument has ever been that he looks good. That was that was the argument he made in the primary. That's what people. Oh, look at he's a good-looking guy. He's got the voice, and Central Casting called, and they wanted a governor of California, and look at him. And it turns out to be not the California suit, the blazer with the jeans and the open neck shirt, and he's not good at this. Before he locked us all in our homes, he was not good at it. When you have a state that is, faltering and has the public pension sword of Damocles hanging over it, and you take office and you say, hey, we've got billions of dollars riding on this train to nowhere. Most people would rather fly Southwest. Let's keep that going. Right away, you know that you're not talking about a competent chief executive.
Absolutely. And we're going to actually go in, and we may roll this to next segment, is some of the things not only is he incompetent, if you will, but again, I want to read, for those of you out there, not everybody reads NPR, but I want to quote you a headline written by Scott Rudd that came out this week. And I'm going to read this. Investigation. Big Newsom donors, including Blue Shield, received no bid contracts during COVID-19 response. Now, I want everybody to get their arms around that for 1 second. And everybody knows about the Blue Shield one I talked about on last week's show. But Scott literally uncovered at least a dozen contracts that amazingly, because of this emergency, weren't put out to bid, were awarded to companies that just happen to be large donors to Gavin's campaign. Wouldn't you think that's just a really bad look, even if it's not illegal at this point?
You mean to tell me that this governor used his executive powers during a time of crisis to dole out no bid contracts to his friends and his donors?
No, let me be clear. I think even not during times of crisis, he actually does it. But let's try to stick with this subject here. The reality is that Gavin Newsom is not only a bad, and I said earlier in the week, so let's go back in history a little bit before I wind to that point. For those of you that don't think history repeats itself, I want you to go back in time and read up a little bit on 2003. And the reason for that, in Gray Davis's first term, he had a 60% approval rating. Sound familiar? By the time his second term started, his approval rating was sinking. Sound familiar? And he had a number of scandals start to break as the recall came. Sound familiar? I really think, Rexon, I want your comment on this in a second, that COVID has simply accelerated what you said, the cycle of Gavin kind of getting exposed as a bad chief executive of California.
Absolutely. I mean, look, when our plumbing fails, my husband and I don't get a no-bid contract from Home Depot. We don't call a big box store and say, hey, send us someone and we'll just write, and we'll have our neighbors write the check, which is what's happening, right? If he was spending his own money, we wouldn't care. But we're all on the hook for this. And I think that his light experience in the private sector is showing itself. And the fact is that COVID has revealed a lot, but it was already there. And that's the problem with California. And again, this is not a partisan recall at all. I have friends left, right, center, green, libertarian who've all signed the petition. The issue is someone competent and are they transparent? And we've got neither.
So I'll tell you what, in the 2 minutes left, we've got Linda from Burbank. I'd like to take on her because as we grow the next segment, her comment is the California Secretary of State needs to be checked out. Linda, thank you for staying on hold to talk to us. Tell me why you think that is.
Oh, not so much checked out, but she needs to prove herself as Secretary of State. People need to call and write to her to tell her that she needs to prove herself as Secretary of State. And by doing away with, everything Alex Padilla has done, she's got to check all the voter rolls. She's got to get all the illegal aliens off the voter rolls. She's got to get all the dead people off the voter rolls. She's got to get off the people that moved away from California. That's using people that, the people voting here in California. That's using the people that moved out of California, using their address.
Linda, absolutely. We understand and appreciate that as we come up against the break. And the good news about the recall, of course, is that we could see the signatures coming in to verify one by one. Thank you very much. We appreciate your phone call here. Before we roll to break, please stay tuned for the next segment. For the 5 or 6 callers on hold right now, we'll get to you after the break. Remember, if you want to call in, it's 1-800-222-5222. You're listening to KABC. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry with Randy Economy, Orrin Heatley, and our guest chef tonight, Roxanne.
RecallGavin2020.com.
It's Friday night at the French Laundry. On the menu tonight, A Better California with Executive Chef Orrin Heatley, Maitre d' Mike Netter, and the wise cashier, Randy Economy.
Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Nights at the French Laundry. It's time for the main entree, and we're going to serve up Gavin's Goose tonight. But before we do, let's be perfectly clear on a couple things out there. I don't want to go, this is great. We got 1.7. We're kind of done. Robert's reporting the numbers. The wise cashier is checking out of the building. Here's the reality, everybody. We are going to need at least 2 million signatures to get this done, and we have less than a month to go. So let's be clear. Everybody out there listening up and down the coast and everywhere you go, you've got to tell everyone you know to go to recallgavin2020.com. If you don't have a computer, I've got news for you. We have events all over the place. You can go to our website at recallgavin2020.com and find over 890, yes, that's correct, over 890 permanent signing locations. If just so happens you're in the Ventura location this weekend, Orrin, where are we going to be?
We're going to be at the Promenade Park.
I understand you're giving me a ride.
I am.
Okay, that's good to know because I wasn't sure I was getting there. But
Mike, you just said people should go to the website. But if they don't have the computer, where could they go to the website?
Well, I think what they're going to have to do is call somebody or find some way to go out there and get to recallgavin2020.com. There are so many locations. There's so many places to sign. Orrin, you look like you want to say something. Are you hurt?
In today's day and age, I'm sure that you'll be able to find somebody in your friends and circle of family that have a computer that would be able to download the form for you, print it up, and have it sent home. Now, if you have a phone that you can send a text in, you can also text us your information, and we'll send you a petition in the mail.
Yeah, let's also be clear on something else here, that this is not an online petition. I saw something today that was going on in New York where people are objecting against Cuomo. Shocking. Scoreboard is everybody out there. Online doesn't count. So sometimes if you don't have a computer, that's not a bad thing. This is a petition which must be signed in wet ink. And if you're just driving up and down the street of almost any city, you will find recallgavin2020.com's bright yellow signs with the angry bear on them. And you should be able to pull over and sign. All you have to do is be a registered voter. And we're telling everybody out there, remember, the drive's not done, and we still can use your donation because we need money for the people to get to the finish line. Randy, Orrin, you want to say something?
Yeah, let's take caller number 5, Gail from South Bay.
Hi.
Gail,
Hi, Gail.
You're talking to Orrin Heatley and Mike Netter and Roxanne Hogue.
And Randy. Don't forget
Roxanne
Randy.
Hogue, the beautiful. And Randy, the
I'm
recall
one of
pirate.
those people that actually I have a computer, but somebody said that I had to have legal size paper to print it out or something like that.
No.
No.
We have made this as easy as possible, and it is available on standard size paper.
But that's a great question
It is,
because a lot of
absolutely.
people, Gail, had that question because so many petitions in the past have had to be printed on legal paper. So
Right.
you're good to go.
Okay, so I can just get online, print it out, and then do I just mail it?
The address is listed right on the bottom of the form.
Right.
Yep.
Cool. All righty then. That's all I needed to know.
And
We don't even have to give the address out because it's right there on the bottom of the form.
I will say, as a woman of a certain age, you do need to get your readers out to be able to see the address.
It is small. Yes, it is.
Okay, I will because I'm the age of that generation. So anyway.
Oh, Gail, God bless and thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you, hon.
All righty.
Let's also stress something else here before we go to more calls here. Understand that this is really heating up. Our show has a facetious title, if you will, but this is serious politics.
What?
And I'm told it's serious politics, and apparently this is true. The GOP is throwing out texts. The GOP is all over the place. We hear about people running for governor, but I want to stress that I am going to announce tonight who I endorse for governor, and that's Mickey Mouse, unless Disneyland opens. Again, realistically, we endorse no one for governor in the recall. No matter what you hear from any political party, no matter what you hear from any political pundit, no official member of recallgavin2020.com is about anything except getting Gavin Newsom out of office.
And well, we should be, because we have to focus on step one. It's sort of like, one foot in front of the other. As I tell my kids, you have to do things in order. The first order of business is qualifying for the recall.
You want to go to line 2, it looks like.
I would like to talk with Maria from San Francisco because, as you might know, we are already focused on a not just a statewide show, but there's people in all across this country listening to us tonight because they can listen live at kabc.com.
They can, and I understand we're actually going to be up at San Francisco sometime soon.
We are going to be up there, in the next week.
Great.
Oren, are you going to give me a ride?
I am going to give you a ride up there, and we're gonna do a community cleanup
And
up
see
there
Maria.
with Scott Pressler. Is that his name? Yeah.
Maria,
Hi,
how
Maria.
you doing?
Hi. Hey, everybody, I want you to join me do something real quick, okay? Happy birthday to Mike. Happy birthday to Mike.
Aw.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Mike. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all in San Francisco.
Oh, God bless,
soon.
Maria.
Thank you very
God
much.
bless.
Like
Thank you
any
so
good
much.
restaurant, I'll do anything for free cake. My birthday's really in August. No, just kidding.
That was
Thank
awesome.
you very, very much. I appreciate that. That you're the best.
Happy birthday. A friend just reminded me in LA County, by the way, Kitson on Robertson is all over the recall. We're uniting people on all sides of LA County, but all over
They have
California.
the form with them in their store. If people are in the area, they can drop in and sign the form. Fill
Do
it
a
out.
little shopping.
Yeah, let's talk. I want to spend a few minutes
Small
here,
business. It's
Roxanna.
important to support small business.
It's important to support all
It's
small
Roxanne.
business, and that's a good glide into what I want to talk about next. Because, again, I want to go talk a little bit about what's come out that isn't getting as much attention, shocking in the mainstream press as it is. That is some of the contracts Newsom has awarded to really large companies that have made really large donations to his campaign.
Must be good be the king.
Now, I want to be fair here. I do my best to be fair. That the big government ethics who reviewed Cap Radio's findings say that doesn't annihilate the concerns raised by a handful of companies that dump money into Gavin Newsom's coffers and then receive no-bid contacts. The ethics experts went on to say that although this is illegal, it certainly is, my words,
I'm
a
not sure
bad
about
look.
that. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not illegal because we haven't seen the quid pro quo, but
I don't know if it's been fully investigated.
It
yet.
hasn't been fully investigated, and that's one of the things. Roxanne, while you're on the show, give us your opinion of what happens when a government simply does what it wants with the taxpayers' money instead of not doing what it should.
Well, that's the saddest part about what's happened to the once golden state of California. If you're a purple state, if you have a vibrant sort of at least two-party system, and we all know that all politicians stink, but at least it keeps them honest. And I think that's what the recall, as we see it heating up, that's what is interesting to see, that Mr. Follow the Science in all capitals, it turns out he's been following the political science, because all of a sudden, let them play. Let's talk about school reopenings. Hey, I'm going to be at every vaccine location. And that's solely because the people have risen up and spoken. And what he's done with these no-bid contracts, and you're right, Oren, I mean, especially they're trying to pass a retroactive bill in the Assembly to cover the unauthorized expenditure of $35 million for PEPE that was very, very dodgy. But it's not just Blue Shield and United Health. And by the way, let's just say maybe these companies with a bidding process would have been the eventual winners. Maybe they've come to, they would have put together a package that made sense.
We'll never know that.
We'll never know that. And it's not your money. When I ran for office and I was taking people's contributions on a much smaller level, to be sure, but I had a sign over my desk that said, it's not your money. And I wish that politicians would do the same. It is not your money. It is the money of the hardworking middle class in California who are being broken. I mean, Chef Gruel, who of Slapfish, he is speaking up for countless restaurant and bar owners. And I mean, so many people, live very cushy lives in my well, okay, not my neighborhood. I live like outside the neighborhood, but I can see the nice neighborhood. And they live these fabulous lives. And they said, oh, well, I can get a manicure, pedicure later. Okay, but the person whose business is to sell you manicures and pedicures just got flattened.
And again, what's very amazing, and the reason I'm dwelling on the big contract, which is United Health and Blue Shield, in a bid process, and I have a lot of experience with it. I spent 40 years operating a bid process from the vendor side, if you will. Usually judge a vendor's performance. Now, I want to state a couple things here. United Health and Blue Shield were number 1 and number 2 in complaints to the California Health Authority in 2019. So their ranking isn't that great. They were number 1 and number 2 in donations. So I want you to really think about that. And by the way, Randy, I want you to weigh in on this as we check out to break here, because I know we haven't given much of a chance tonight. But just isn't it that bizarre that, again, this is done with our money with no due process?
Well, that's what happens when you...
Randy.
That's what happens when you
don't
have
think
a single-party government.
Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, I don't think it's bizarre. I think it's just business as usual in Sacramento. And one thing that we have been able to do during this recall campaign is to kind of peel back that onion and to let everybody know that this, it's a real stinky situation up there. And that's, talk about, cooks in the kitchen and the ingredients you use. I mean, there's enough stench in Gavin's kitchen that could, it could shut down a million different restaurants. But he's responsible for this.
Hey, Randy,
and it's his policies.
When you have a governmental monopoly like we have in California, what is the final check in the balance?
There is no check and balance.
The people. The people.
The people. That's what we're doing on this recall campaign.
That's what we're doing, brother.
And it's about time the people had accountability. I also want to say something else. You have to look up this article. It's by Scott Rudd. It's Cap Radio. There's other articles that have come out this week. Kevin Kiley, I know, has asked for a state legislature investigation on the floor of the Capitol. We'll see how far that goes, since they have a supermajority in the Democrats. But even the Democrats themselves, and again, we're nonpartisan, but I want to stress there's something wrong in that top floor where Gavin Newsom is sitting. And if you have no other reason to recall Gavin Newsom, you've got to understand what he's doing with our money and, frankly, denying small businesses and large businesses. Because remember that awarding of a contract to even a large company or the wrong large company has a cascading effect like you're talking about, Roxanne, with couriers and other people that go with it.
Forget the fact that we're missing $10.4 to $31 billion in EDD fraud.
Well, we hardly have time to talk. It's really hard. Gavin makes it very
There's
hard
so
to keep
much.
up.
There's just so much grift and corruption. It's enough to curl your hair.
It really, really is. Listen, everybody, we're going to come back in a few minutes. And for the callers here tonight, for the ones that are calling in, I ask that you tell us what you think is wrong with Gavin. I see a few questions on the screen, but what I want you to call in and tell me, what is the reason, not why you would recall Gavin, but I want to question some of the people out there. Can anybody think of a reason why you wouldn't recall Gavin? And I want to challenge the public out there for it. I get asked that all the time. But can anybody give me one reason why you should not recall the governor of California? We're on KABC Radio, up and down the coast, streaming live to you. It's Friday nights in the French Laundry at 1-800-222-5222.
You've only had an appetizer. This is your Friday night at the French Laundry with Chef Oren Heatley, maitre d' Mike Netter, and head cashier Randy Economy.
Welcome back, Friday nights to the French Laundry. Oren, I understand you want to take line one.
I'd like to talk with Liz from Fontana about a strange tweet that she had received from the GOP. I'd heard about this earlier today, and I'd like to know more about it. Liz, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, yesterday, a couple of my friends got, it's not a tweet, it's a text message And it says, recall Governor Gavin Newsom petition signature status, unknown, in caps. Update your status today by visiting gopsms.com/CAGOP News 2, the number 2, paid for by CAGOP.org. Reply stop to end. And my friends were concerned it was some kind of a scam or something.
Yeah.
And I posted a copy of it on our recall page, and nobody there seemed to really know what it is or why it is or, what's it about. So I thought maybe you might be able to enlighten me.
That's a good question. So because the signatures are all handwritten on paper, we literally have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of sheets of paper, and none of that information is taken down. We don't enter people's names into a database. We don't save that information, and there would be no way for them to know who signed or who has not signed. That information is private. It's maintained on a confidential basis. So once somebody signs the petition, those forms are sealed up and they're put away, and they're once that's done, they're only allowed to be looked at by the registrars in each county and the proponent themselves. Okay. And the only time we would be allowed to look at those forms again would be during a contested period where, if we don't qualify for some reason or another, then we have the ability to go in and look at the signatures that they've rejected and challenge those. So, I think what you're asking is, the GOP are out there. They want what a lot of other organizations want, and they want to gather emails and personal data from people who support causes like this because it helps further their cause.
And, it's just genius marketing. I mean, so when I ran just as a regular, normal citizen, looking at the sausage making, a lot of what goes on is list building. And so as long as we all know that, and whenever you get a petition online, save the baby furry birds or whatever it is, and if you sign that, you've now that's a part of your profile. And if you like getting emails and ads for posters of furry birds, that's awesome. And just know that that's what you've done. But nobody has that information. Oren's right, and they smartly said your status is unknown.
It's unknown.
It's unknown.
And Randy, Randy can speak to the fact that there is a lot of misinformation that's being generated by different organizations out there, and it's always a delicate balance trying to keep that the ship righted and going in the right direction.
Well, and that's true. And the biggest the person that we have to deal with as far as misinformation is concerned is from the governor's own press spokesperson, Dan Newman. And Dan Newman he's a state employee, yet he has taken it upon himself to be the official spokesperson for Gavin Newsom on his recall campaign.
Dan.
And if you want to ask, and that's the thing that I really, that irks me more than anything. When the governor's office, uses his state employees as his official campaign committee, that's when the fish is rotten from the head down, guys. And we're all volunteers, and everybody here is doing this because of the movement. But when you have to deal with these slick politicians who are controlling a one-party state here in California, we're up against the impossibility, but we're making this thing possible.
I've heard them challenge the people behind the recall, and through personal smear campaigns and personal attacks, but I haven't heard them challenge the policies, the reasons behind the recall. And I think it was Margaret Thatcher who said that when they run out of a political argument, that's when they launch a personal attack.
Absolutely. And listen, the personal attacks that have been levied against the, own members of our recall team and our recall family here. I mean, that's just part of the deal. But, we must be onto something because we've got the attention not only of Gavin Newsom, but we're living, we're living right there rent free in his head. And that's pretty amazing.
In his fabulously coiffed head, I might point out.
Well, I got to tell you, he's got pretty damn good hair.
It's great hair.
He's right out of Central Casting.
There you go. Rock and roll.
Speaking of rent-free a little bit, I would like to go, Susan from Penn City. You've got about 15 seconds. I understand you work on ads on the recall here because I want to get in a quick pitch. How you doing,
Susan, welcome aboard.
Hey, good evening, Mike. How are you?
Good.
I just wanted to give a shout-out to Robin, who has spent countless hours on this recall.
Robin is
well
amazing.
As to all our volunteers. Boots on the ground. We couldn't be where we are today without them.
Absolutely not. Hands down. And, there's a lot of unsung heroes in this effort. There are thousands of people out there working every day, and the management teams that are put in place throughout the state. Folks, we have 150 administrators, 27 regional managers working on this, 3 state supervisors, and a state administrator, Susan Hurd, and we treasure all of them.
Well, they're doing amazing work, but I have to say, you guys are working with a product that sells itself. Literally, someone was hanging wallpaper in my house this week and said, do you know where I can sign a recall petition?
We're not supposed to tell him Gavin's our best salesperson. It kind of screws us up, Roxanne.
We have nobody to thank but Gavin Newsom himself, and he has nobody else to blame, folks. Politics in California are over as you once knew it. Business as usual is done in California.
Listen, before we round table around here, I just want to get in a couple things. Thank you for everybody who's been out there working hard this week. We do have in San Diego on Sunday a drive-through recall signing. You don't need a computer. You don't even need a pen. That's at 3555 Rosecrans. We also are going to be in Ventura at the Ventura Promenade tomorrow.
Promenade
Park tomorrow.
Down on the beach.
Let's do a quick round robin.
Sun and sand.
Is there sun and sand? I did not know this. Well, hopefully there's something for me to eat. Let's do a round robin real quick. Randy, since you're not present with us tonight, give us your thoughts in 15 to 20 seconds with what we've got going here.
Well, my thoughts are that watching the greatest grassroots political campaign in the history of America, and for us to be where we are today is a blessing, and it's exciting, and our work is not done, and even after we get this thing on the ballot.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for listening to Friday Nights at the French Laundry.
RecallGavin2020.com.
Recall Gavin, it's KABC Radio. Recall.
This show is sponsored by the official Recall Committee California Patriot Coalition. Recall Governor Newsom 2020, number 1424018. Committee major funding from others include Rescue California, Recall Gavin Newsom, Prov 39 LLC, DGB Ranch.